A rising tide lifts all ships. And Ethereum, which is the second largest cryptocurrency in the world and the king of the altcoins, is doing exactly that. Ether just jumped 20% more now on a renewed optimism for an ETF, and it's bringing up the entire altcoin market with it. As many of you will not be surprised to hear, my favorite altcoin and my number one horse in the altcoin bull run of 2024, 2025 is still Render token. And that's why in this video, we're going to take a look at both Ethereum and Render on the charts. And I'll give you guys my summer 2024 price targets for both of these now that it looks like things are really heating up and new all-time highs are very likely on the horizon. My name is Royce Jacob. Welcome back to Waves Capital. All right, so for the first things first, you guys, before we jump into the charts, let's just quickly take a look at the CNBC Pro article and talk about what's going on with Ether, why ETH rallied so hard. Okay, so key points. The price of Ether continued to climb after rocketing 20% on Monday. The rally comes amid a late surge in optimism that the SEC might greenlight spot Ether ETFs ahead its first deadline later this week. The previous consensus was that the funds would likely not be approved. Okay, you guys, so as always, if something is already priced in, then a pivot of sentiment will definitely cause some crazy price action, and that's what we just saw. Most investors, most individuals thought that this fund would not be approved. Now, it's pretty likely that it will be, and that is good news, obviously, for the asset that was reflected in the price action. So, cryptocurrencies. Overall, again, rising tide lifts all ships, rose Tuesday amid a late surge in optimism around the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's decisions on spot Ether exchange-traded fund applications, the first of which is due this week. Ether led the rally, rising 10%, again more now. According to Coinmetrics, on Monday it rocketed 20%. This sudden flip in expectations is an unexpected boon for crypto investors who have been crying out for a driver after the Bitcoin halving passed and Bitcoin ETFs were launched in the US and Hong Kong, said Antony Trenchev, co-founder of crypto exchange Nexo. Sorry, Anthony. If the spot ETH ETFs are approved, altcoins should take off, as Ether is often a leading indicator for the rest of the crypto market. And once again, Ether and Bitcoin. I don't have it brought up right now, but there is something called Bitcoin dominance, and I guess it's altcoin dominance is just the inverse of Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance is a metric that tracks the relative strength of Bitcoin to altcoins. And right now, just what we're seeing on the watch list shows that there is, although I want to make it clear that I do think Bitcoin is probably going to travel to new all-time highs. I'm going to make a video on Bitcoin and Riot Platforms, Bitcoin miners over the next few days. But right now, it looks like altcoins have the reins. Altcoins are in control, and again, I don't have the chart up here, but it's very clear that if there was the chart, we could see altcoins gaining dominance, or Bitcoin losing dominance, I should say, over altcoins. Okay, so Ether looking amazing with this pop. Ethereum has broken below a significant line of resistance that has been in play since March of 2024, which was Ether's 2024 high. But that's not Ether's all-time high. I'm going to get rid of this because that's going to start looking weird. When we zoom out, it's crazy how long we've been following these things. When we zoom out, we can see that Ether's all-time high is actually 4,800. So now that we have broken a very significant line of resistance, just looking at this chart, I've been looking at charts for 10 years now. This doesn't look like a chart that is going to reverse into a new downtrend. This looks like the beginning of a second wave. Okay? Wave one. You get the initial wave of hype. You get the initial momentum. You get a new 2024 high, at least in this case. For Bitcoin, it was a new all-time high. Pull back. You see a little bit of capitulation. You see us go sideways for a while. That's always a good sign that a big move is likely in either direction, as that sideways range trading price action for an extended period of time. Now, given the overall macro backdrop, the strength of Bitcoin, just the geopolitical landscape, the halving, again, great catalyst, these ETFs that are being approved, everything is falling in favor. The stars are aligning for cryptocurrencies, and it made sense that Ether broke to the upside as opposed to the downside. Okay, so Ether, again, in breakout mode as far as the short to medium term is concerned. I do think the new all-time highs are on the horizon. There's really, I mean, you could say that there is some resistance obviously around those previous all-time highs, but really from here, given the short-term setup, there's really not a whole lot of historical resistance in our way. And I do think similar to kind of the prices or the price targets that I've set for Bitcoin and just where I think Bitcoin's heading in the short to medium term is very similar, okay? These highs from back in May of 2021 and November of 2021 created a megaphone pattern. And I guess you could say this is the bottom line of resistance on this megaphone pattern. This is actually nice and symmetrical, which kind of reinforces the validity of this megaphone pattern. And I do think that Ether will ultimately come up to test the line of resistance on this megaphone pattern at some point in the months ahead. We'll just go to the end of July, or the end of August, I'm sorry, okay, the end of the summer. So we're moving into the fall. I do think that Ether can make its way up over the next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, just play generously. I think Ether can climb over 80% up to, $6,800, $6,900. Hey, maybe it takes us until the fall. Maybe it takes us until like November. That would take us up above $7,000. The longer we take to test this price, to test this line of resistance, and keep in mind, this is conservative. Many traders might be looking at that one. So I'm playing conservative. The more touch points, the better when you're drawing trend lines. And I do think that Ether will ultimately test this trend line at some point in 2024. I'll just say that much. Okay, so that's Ether. Let's take a look at Render. If you guys have watched my recent Render videos, this is, might just be preaching to the choir here, but that's just kind of the nature of this trading thing sometimes, especially the investment aspect of it. As many of you know, I do trade options. That is like my bread and butter. I'm an option swing trader. So if you want to trade those with me on a daily basis, that's the first link in the description of this video. Just shout it out now. If you don't know how, I also have an options trading course. It's pretty cheap. And I like to think pretty educational. It's pretty bang for your buck. I do my best to do that. But if you guys do want to join my trading membership, if you want to join Waves Capital for real, then once again, that's the first link in the description of this video. You also receive my daily newsletters where I cover Riot and Render and Bitcoin on a daily basis in my price targets newsletter. And I also send out a trade alerts newsletter that breaks down, of course, all of my trades and options and whatnot. Okay, so that said, again, first link in the description if you want to join Waves Capital. If not, no worries at all. I do appreciate you watching this video right now. So Render token is, it doesn't take a genius to look at this chart and tell you that this thing looks like it's poised for new all-time highs, especially when we look at 1D RSI and 1D stochastic RSI. So 1D stochastic RSI at the very bottom of the screen where my cursor is hovering right now just curled up. When that blue line curls over the red line, especially from the bottom, that's a good sign that another wave to the upside, especially because we're looking at daily 1D stochastic RSI or around 1D candles. That typically means that a pretty solid medium-term move is likely. And the same happens, when we curl downwards, okay? So that is stochastic RSI. 1D RSI, we can see this cyan line, bluish line has just gone over this little skinny white line, which is the EMA. That's the exponential moving average. So 1D RSI has made its way back above its exponential moving average, and that's on top of this bullish stochastic RSI reading is a very bullish indicator when it comes to short to medium term price action. So honestly, all things considered, Ether's strong, crypto's strong. Rising tide lifts all ships, third time's the charm. I think Render is going to break to new all-time highs. Once Render breaks the all-time high that it set back in March, it will officially be in blue sky territory, break above $14. That will truly be when things start getting exciting, because again, you reach that area, the blue sky territory, where there is no historical resistance standing in its path. Render, amazing project for all the reasons we've discussed over the past few years. Go watch old videos if you don't know, or check out their website. Just to go check out their investor page on their website if you're unfamiliar with what Render token is and what the Render project does. But I do think, and again, preaching to the choir, I've said this in every video, but that's the nature of this. My Wave 2 target is going to be a $10 billion market cap, which would represent about well over 2x from here, about 130% climb from where we're sitting at just under $11. That would result in a $25 Render token, roughly, okay? Roughly. $10 billion market cap is roughly a $25 Render token. And that is going to be my summer 2024 price. I wouldn't be surprised to see this, again, given how bullish everything looks and how like this just looks like a two-wave pattern shaping up that's about to go parabolic, I wouldn't be surprised if we see this within the next month or two. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this by 4th of July, by Independence Day. Get some fireworks going. I think this summer is going to be a great one for altcoins and the cryptocurrency markets overall. Again, we'll be recording a video on Bitcoin and Riot over the next few days, so stay tuned for that. Once again, appreciate you watching. If you want to trade with me on a daily basis, that is the first link in the description of the video. And yeah, good times, guys. I'm excited for what's to come. Let's keep making waves. As always, until next time, take action, make waves. Peace, guys.